Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
We begin our program with a question of sorts from a prospective client by the name of Fran, who called in after listening to this show. Here's the question. Tony, I keep hearing lots of advisors on the radio and the internet talking about reducing taxes on my 401k plan. I even met with an advisor who conducted a retirement class at a local university talk about ways to reduce taxes. But, and here's the big but, no pun intended, when I ask for more details of how they will do this, none of them seem to really know what they're talking about, and all they want to do is talk about investing my money. Why is this? Thank you, Fran. Well, here's the answer, Fran. You ready? None of this is real.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Have you ever been in a situation that could be described as surreal? You know what I'm talking about. One you would never, ever have imagined being in, and as such, responding to this surreal moment with, surely this can't be real.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Back in March of 2020, I had one of those surely this can't be real moments when on March 16th at 5 p.m., just as I'm driving over to a nearby hotel to host a retirement planning workshop for an expected 60 registrants for this seminar, the radio press conference featuring our president and other government officials announced the closing of all businesses and, get this, also limiting gatherings to no more than 6 people. Surely, as I drove my car in disbelief, saying this can't be real, but as I proceeded to the workshop, not only did I only find 5 people awaiting this presentation, actually 6 if you include the service dog, it dawned on me that, yes, indeedy, none of this is real. Add to the fact that I had to basically cancel the next evening's workshop, which was scheduled for Elizabethtown, Kentucky, which again had about 70 people registered. I really felt like, what in the world is going on here? Then fast forward to July 18th today, 2023, as we reflect on the 2-year disaster lockdown that prohibited people from gathering and doing workshops such as what I did. We're now right back to the same comment I made earlier that none of this is real.
Is this real life?
So what does this none of this is real attitude have to do with your retirement and your money? Well, let's find out. Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement, and yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, none of this is real specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we explain what is real when it comes to your money and the strategies and products you might consider towards a worry-free retirement, and which ones are real and which ones are not, well, we got a real person in the production studio who shows up every week on this show. That's right, there he sits, America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, good morning to you, sir. Good morning, audience, those listening.
Well, and you didn't see anybody out this week?
No, I did not see anybody else this week, but I do have a funny question. So you were saying the TNT in the intro, and you said that came from Fran.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny because that's that was my college girlfriend's name was Fran. Her name was Frances, and everybody called her Fran for short.
Looking good, Frances.
Well, how do you know this wasn't the same?
So I don't know.
Fran?
Maybe Fran, if you're listening, hey, good morning.
Did she have an interest in taxes back in college? Do you remember?
I don't think so,
no.
Yeah.
Probably not the same Fran then. Most people have an interest in taxes, have always been born with an interest in taxes. So there's another none of this is real statement. Okay, so Aaron, I don't want to reflect too much on this because it really is depressing to really think about. Talking about surreal. that evening, because weren't you there to help me set up at that workshop?
Yeah, I was. We filmed the whole thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we filmed it.
You want to see an empty workshop, folks, just tune into the TV show here in a couple of days.
Oh, that's right.
We'll have B-roll of it. Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you explain the TV show a little bit, and then why a lot of people may want to tune into the TV show because of the graphics and that type of thing. And also, if they can't watch the TV show, how they can catch past episodes, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start with the radio show, folks. That's really easy to do. If you want to listen to this radio show again or any past radio shows, all you got to do is go to SoundCloud.com. That's SoundCloud.com. And right there in the search bar, type in The Worry-Free Retirement. You'll find our past radio shows. If you want to see the TV show, which I think is a good idea, that shows you a little bit more detail as far as the graphics. You can kind of get a visual representation of what Tony's talking about. You can go to our website and go right up there at the top right-hand corner, click on the menu bar, and there's going to be a clip, or there's going to be a thing that says, I think it says TV and radio show times. Just click on that and you're going to find all of our television and radio show times and stations. Now, if you can't catch that, we understand. That's why we put the show on YouTube. So all you got to do if you want to watch past shows is go to youtube.com, type Tony Walker Financial right there in the search bar, and you'll see Tony's smiling face, and you're going to find past radio shows as well as all types of video content.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. And it does remind me how much content we have out there. Okay. So we're getting back. 2020, they announced the closing. I think it was going to be a temporary deal, though, wasn't it? Wasn't it 15 days?
It was 15 days of social distancing. We're going to keep our distance.
Over the next 15 days?
Is that supposed to be Dr. Fauci?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Trump. I don't know.
What did Fran sound like? Can you imitate her? Okay.
That was over 20 years ago. I don't know.
So basically, here's what we're talking about, folks. This is a retirement planning show. So here's some none of this is real moments that we'll be talking about today. It's going to be very interesting. The first none of this is real moment, listen, is that 401k statement you're looking at, possibly right now. As you look at that money, as we're going to find out today, you're going to find out that that value that's on that 401k, that total value, we're going to use the example in a minute of a $300,000 401k or IRA. I'm going to prove to you that that is not a real number. You got your attention, Aaron?
Okay, I'm ready.
That's number one. The second thing we're going to talk about is the idea of this whole concept of taxation. As Fran mentioned earlier, we're going to dive into that TNT, that Tony in the Trenches. Everybody and his brother is talking about saving you on taxes. And what we're finding out, many of these sales pitches to talk about taxes, they're not real. What they're trying to do in many cases, I can't speak for all advisors, but what I'm seeing as people come to me is they get duped into thinking they're going to save on taxes. The advisor, in turn, moves all their money over and makes money on their money, and there is no tax planning or savings going on. Does that make sense, Aaron?
Sure.
And then the third thing is these beloved annuities that I love so much and use so regularly, but unfortunately, many people are not getting the full scoop on the pros and the cons of annuities. And of course, annuities, as we know, that's the only financial product that can provide what my granddad called
mailbox money.
So when we return, I'm going to look at all three of those examples and prove to you that none of this is real. The number on your 401k statement, taxes that everybody's apparently going to save you, and these annuities that are promising you the moon, which in reality always come with a catch. So when I come back, this is Tony Walker. You're listening to Worry Free Retirement. We're going to prove to you that none of this is real.
Hi, my name is Heather Hughes. I'm an advisor in the Bowling Green office at Tony Walker Financial. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the decision to retire. That's probably one of the major decisions you're ever going to have in your life. And to have the right advisor to help you through retirement is of utmost importance. Keep in mind that you really do need to work with a fiduciary who is legally obligated to work in your best interest. Additionally, you're going to want a game plan for your retirement so you can navigate through everything. And look at retirement as a partnership with your advisor, somebody that you'll be able to work with throughout retirement. And if you have a spouse that they feel comfortable working with too. Here at Tony Walker Financial, we can do all of those things. Thank you so much.
Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no-obligation appointment. Let us help you today.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. Our title of this show is None of This is Real. And I guess thinking about none of this is real, this is a good segue, I hope. My wife's favorite movie of all time. Aaron, you want to guess? You know Susan. What do you think her favorite movie of all time is?
Favorite movie of all time? Well, we've talked a lot on the shows about the movie Titanic. Oh, is that it?
Oh, good, Titanic. Yeah, I never saw it, but let me guess what happens. A boat sinks.
Well, the Titanic was real. Actually, the movie, though, I guess that was not real. In fact, the part at the end, I mean, who knows what happened when the folks went down, but I don't know if this really happened, the whole interchange between how many times Jack and Rose was mentioned.
Yes! Rose! Rose! Yes! Swim, Rose! Come on, Rose. Stay on, Rose.
Okay, no, actually, it's a good guess, Aaron. Actually, it was The Wizard of Oz. You ever seen that movie?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it once. That's like Jessica's favorite movie, too. So I did my husband responsibility, and I sat down with her and watched it once, and I went, okay, are we done?
And then after that, I did the same thing, and I said, okay, Susan, now I'm going to make you watch Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to sit in, or Gladiator. She's
Gladiator,
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, something.
Derek, have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz?
Nope, never seen it.
Okay, go back to work, Derek. Derek's over there feverishly working on the graphics to the TV show. He's of no help in these old trivia questions, Aaron. These young people don't know anything about great, wholesome family entertainment like The Wizard of Oz. All right, the reason I bring that up, to me, the greatest scene in that movie is at the very end where they've searched and searched and searched, for Oz so she can get back to Kansas. They finally meet the Wizard of Oz. And remember, they're all intimidated, all this smoke and stuff and mirrors. And then what does Toto go over there and do to the little dog?
Yeah, he's running over and he grabs the curtain in the back.
And exposes Oz for what he was, just a mere man.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
So we're back to our same subject matter, folks, proving that none of this is real. So if you're just now joining, we started off the show going back in time to this surreal moment on March 16th, 2020, after yours truly spending literally thousands of dollars promoting two different workshops, one to be held on the 16th in Louisville and the next night in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And on the way to the workshop, literally, President Trump and Dr. Fauci and a comrade of other hosts standing back in the background tell us that basically you're not allowed to meet with anyone because of this virus. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So 5 people show up that night. I try to do the best I can. The next night we have to cancel, and then that's when I came up with, surely, none of this is real.
Don't call me Shirley.
Okay, so let's get back to our topic. So there was 3 things I mentioned that are basically none of this is real topics. That's the number you see in your 401k plan. That's all the taxes many of these advisors are purporting to save you, when in reality they're just, in many cases, wanting your money to invest. They have no intention of even understanding taxes. And then finally, these annuities, which have some wonderful attributes, in many cases are missold and misrepresented, and many people are stuck in an annuity they don't understand, usually because they don't have a written game plan to accompany that annuity. So let's use the example of a 401k plan. Let's imagine you're looking at your 401k, and it was right before the pandemic. With me, Aaron?
Okay.
Maybe in March, early March, and it had $300,000 in it. You with me so far?
Sure.
Okay. So the market dropped, Aaron, right after the pandemic, 27%. That sounds like a pretty big drop, right?
That's a lot.
Okay, so we do the math on that, and these are rough numbers because some people maybe didn't drop as much as the others, but let's just kind of stay with this. Your $300,000 would immediately have gone down $81,000. So at that moment, was the $300,000 a real number?
No.
Absolutely not. But we're not done. Because what if you had needed that money? Not only is it down $81,000, but if you'd taken that huge sum of money out, well, that's about a 30% tax hit. So now the government roughly is going to take $65,000. So now the real value, But remember, the theme is none of this is real. What is the real value of that original $300,000 that you saw behind the curtain? Well, when you pull that curtain open, in this case, we're assuming and you can't time the market. We can't time these things, folks. That's the problem with many of you savers having way too much money in the stock market. You just can't time what's going to happen and when you might need it. This is what I've learned in working with so many savers over the years. We covered this the other day, Aaron. Do you remember the number of people that we work with that are clients that are between the ages of 56 and 80 at Tony Walker Financial? Do you remember that number?
Close to like 3,000
yes.
or something like that.
So, folks, here's the thing. Wisdom, experience, all that takes time. And probably the one thing I've got over a lot of advisors is just so much time in this business and in this field of retirement planning. So back to that, we've got almost 3,000 people between age 56 and 80. Guess what, Aaron? I see a lot of things play out. And it allows me to remind these savers, when you get into retirement, folks, there's no do-overs. I mean, if you're going to take all this risk and have all of your money, 100% of it in the stock market, this is what could happen. So let's go through this again. $300,000 prior to the pandemic. The pandemic allows the stock market to plummet 27%. The $300,000 you just saw on that statement has gone down $81,000. You panic and pull your money out. You forget that the government has a lien on that 401k. They take $65,000 of your money in the way of taxes, and you're left with, all right, Derek, let's pull the curtain back on this and see what we're left with.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
That's right, folks, around $150,000. That's the real number. So you may be sitting there saying, Tony, I hadn't thought of all this. I keep looking at these numbers, and they really are, as you like to say, Tony, digits on a scoreboard. They mean nothing in terms of, am I winning this game called retirement? Well, we're not done. Let's go to our second example of none of this is real. And again, if you're just now joining us, we had a Tony in the Trenches from Fran, who basically is frustrated because she keeps attending workshops, university seminars, hosted by advisors. She's on the internet, radio, talk show host, all this stuff. Everybody talking about saving taxes. And the frustration she shared with me is when she meets with advisors, they first want to invest her money. Why would that be, Aaron?
Well, because they want to make more money off of it.
That's how they get paid.
Yeah, that's how they make their money.
In fact, I had a client the other day said, Aaron, that they went to an advisor. The advisor would not share a game plan with them until they first moved their money over. Now, that's crazy. Folks, I can't imagine. First of all, if you're going to work with Tony Walker Financial, we will, as fiduciaries, we provide you a full written game plan of our assessment. There is no cost for that assessment. We want you to understand it. We're going to show you we're going to pull the curtain back on all of our recommendations. Most advisors will not do this, and we're going to do that with no cost or obligation, Aaron. None.
Okay.
So that's why we do that, folks. Now, so a lot of these folks don't have any tax planning strategies. They don't have a tax planning department such as us, and that's what I want to talk about right now. So if you do decide to work with Tony Walker Financial, what is this free service we offer that most people either don't know how to offer or won't offer, and that's our tax planning department. Again, we have in that tax planning department Miss Leanne Tinsley and TJ Reagan. They are both tax certified, and their only job at Tony Walker Financial, and I pay them well, by the way, is to make sure that our clients, once they become clients, have access to tax planning advice. Now, again, folks, we do not prepare your taxes. You still need your accountant or tax preparer for that. What we're trying to do is tax planning for retirement. This reminds me, Aaron, as I go back to this, none of this is real, and this is not a criticism at all. What I'm getting ready to say here, folks, this was the reality. Probably 20 years or so ago, because of my different insurance licenses, I'm required to take continuing education classes. You're familiar with those, aren't you, Aaron?
Yep.
So anyway, I found out there was going to be a 2-day seminar for CPAs in taxes. Now, this is all taxes, and bless their hearts, man, they got so much they got to keep up with. I feel for CPAs and accountants right now. But anyway, this was 20 years ago, and I said, wait a minute, it said at the bottom, if you're an insurance professional, these 2 days will count towards your CE credit requirements, and that was going to fulfill my whole year. And it was in Bowling Green at the time. I said, shoot, I'll take 2 days out to get this out of the way, and I might learn something about taxes and retirement planning. I thought, they'll cover that surely. Out of 2 days, Aaron, a nice gentleman got up, one of the instructors. He had a section on retirement planning and taxation. Guess how long that material lasted? Now, think how important the topic is.
I don't know, probably not that long.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
So out of 2 full days, now maybe it's changed, this was back 20 years ago, out of 2 full days, I'm trying to learn retirement planning, folks. This was how hard it was to learn about retirement planning 20 years ago. Out of 2 full days of continuing education credits and taxation for CPAs, only 20 minutes was devoted to tax planning in retirement. Which reminded me, I thought, wow, this is a huge field and nobody's pursuing it. So I did. Some 20 years ago, I created the Worry-Free Retirement Process. I started studying under people like Ed Slott, Bob Castellone. I went through the CLU CFP curriculums. I wanted to learn everything I could and gain the wisdom and expertise from people who knew more about the subject than I did. So since that time, what I've learned, Aaron, because if you're going to service over 3,000 clients and provide free tax planning services, you better have somebody on staff that can provide those services. So again, here are some of the services we offer at no additional charge if you become a client of Tony Walker Financial. We're going to calculate all of your RMDs. That's your required minimum distribution. That's what you got to take out at age 73. If you want to do something called a QCD or qualified charitable distribution, we'll calculate those. We'll calculate something called a 72T. That helps you to minimize taxes if you're not 59 and a half and you want to draw money out of that tax-infested 401k plan. Roth conversions, we'll do the calculations on those to make sure before you plunge into a Roth conversion that Roth conversion makes sense for you. Here's something we do, Aaron, and this is huge. When people come to us, we're always encouraging them through our Live Well, Die Broke philosophy to use and enjoy this money before it's too late. Well, the problem that is, if you've got all of your money from a 401k, every dollar you take out of that 401k is taxed. Well, at what rate? And how's it going to affect your Social Security, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, there's all kinds of complications and considerations when taking money out of a 401k. Well, we're going to look at that for you. We're going to calculate those taxes. We're going to do our best to try to minimize those taxes, spread them out over time rather than getting just slammed like our last example. So again, if that's you right now, if you're sitting there saying, Tony, I have nobody in my corner that really and truly understands taxes and more importantly has a process to monitor my situation through retirement, not just handling my investments, but truly cares about me and my money and trying to keep more of it in my pocket, then why don't you do this? Why don't you make this real by contacting us right now? Just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started. We can arrange something with myself called a free 10-minute fiduciary phone call, and we'll find out how I can be of help. And, of course, we'll meet with you in person, either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices to lay out a free game plan for you and your retirement. Or, if you like, just give us a call, 877-499-9255. All right, when we come back, the last none of this is real example I'm going to use is these annuities. Again, before I'm critical of annuities, I love these products. But how in the world can an insurance company issuing that annuity guarantee you, currently, depending on the company, guarantee you 7% interest? Well, we're going to pull the curtain back on that one too. I'm Tony Walker. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. I'll be right back.
With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years, I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
Now remember, folks, when you roll over your 401k with us, you get a 15% bonus. How's that sound?
That sounds too good to be true.
Come on, don't you trust me?
What are your fees?
That is a great question, and we'll get to that after we roll over the 401k.
I think we need to get a second opinion.
Don't leave your retirement to chance. Get a second opinion from TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. Tony Walker here, and we're talking about none of this is real. It's the attitude I developed after watching the government disastrous lockdowns, and now we're seeing all the fallout of that. Man, it really was. I even told, I'm with Aaron Orander here, I even told my wife when I got home, Aaron. I was fuming. I really was. And I said, this is crazy. Speaking of the Titanic, I said, hon, that would be like stopping the Titanic and trying to change directions midstream. You can't do that with the economy. So I'm not saying I'm some sort of prophet or soothsayer, but I said, this will be a disaster. All right, I digress. So, Aaron, our third topic here involves annuities. And before I spill the beans here and pull the curtain back, let's say you've been shopping around. You're a saver. I mean, you like protection of your money, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's say you've been shopping around banks, and as we record this show in July of 2023, you can get a good bank CD guaranteeing your principal, right, at around 5%. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so now you've gone to a dinner seminar, or maybe you've attended a university class offered by a financial advisor, and they start telling you how an insurance company, through an annuity, can guarantee you 7%. What's going to be your response to that?
I'm still elated and excited about the 5%. So you say 7%, I'd get the big cartoon eyes like, woo, all right, let's do it.
But you've been around me long enough to know about how much I love annuities, but everything has the pro and con associated. So if I said 7%, that's a pretty big number to guarantee. What would be your next question?
I would say, okay, what's the catch? How are you going to pull this off?
Very good, very good. So let's pull the curtain back. Now again, folks, I have a great booklet I've written on annuities. We've done about as many annuities as anybody in the country. I've personally produced close to $600 million. We have over 3,000 annuities that we've written, so we know these products very well. That's why I wrote the book, Annuities Made Easy. If you'd like to download it, you can go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that download section, and you want to download Annuities Made Easy. If you're not comfortable downloading things on the internet, free of charge, we'll be happy to mail you a hard copy. All you got to do there is just email Gina. That's Gina at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Gina at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Tell her you'd like Annuities Made Easy. Be sure to provide a mailing address so we can mail it to you. Okay. So how do they pull this off? An insurance company is very similar to a bank. They're not taking a lot of risk with your money. So you have to ask yourself, well, wait a minute, how can they offer 7 when the banks offer 5? And how can they guarantee that for the rest of my life when a bank is only guaranteeing 5% of 1 year or 2 years? Well, here's the catch, Aaron, to answer your question. That's called an income rider, folks. That is not a yield. So many of you are rushing out and you think you're getting something guaranteed at 7, 8, 9%, which you are, but you have to understand that that guarantee is applied to what's called our beloved
mailbox money.
You see, mailbox money is the income that's guaranteed for the rest of your life. And it's derived from the annuity, and the annuity issued by the insurance companies are calculating and trying to figure out, number one, how much money they can make on your money, and number two, how long they think you're going to live. So that 7% guaranteed account is really just for your mailbox money. That money cannot be left to your family. It cannot be one day just surrendered and dragged out. The catch is you have to play by their rules and use it for mailbox money. So here's my thoughts, folks. Before you rush out and buy an annuity, because there's so many annuities out there. In fact, there's an article that just came out, Aaron. Let's see, this is in Fox News, just came out the other day, July 11th. It says, most seniors regret retiring planning decisions and they want a do-over. Guess what this article is stressing what people ought to consider buying? What do you think?
Personal loan. Isn't that what they're talking about?
Well, that's one option, but I'm saying of the products is annuities.
Oh, the annuities, yeah.
Okay, well, 20 years ago, nobody was talking about annuities. We were, but nobody else was. But the point is, folks, now everybody is talking about these products called annuities, and there's so many different types, different companies, different structuring of those annuities. So here's my advice right now. If you are retiring soon, maybe you've got a former 401k out there that needs to be rolled over, maybe you just got a bunch of money languishing in the bank, and you want a strategy for deferring taxes and mitigating losses and creating some structure in what we call into your lives, then let's do this. Let's talk. My name is Tony Walker. To talk to me at no cost, we call it a free fiduciary phone call. Just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You're going to click on that little red box. Let's talk over the phone to see if we can help you. And if it merits, we are going to meet with you in person, either myself or one of our trained salaried fiduciaries at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. Or if you like, just simply give us a call. That number is 877-499-9255. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We hope you've enjoyed today's program, but remember, between now and next week when we talk to each other again, you be worry-free and make it a good one.